And this one is actually pretty interesting, the Terminator 2 robots. Tell us about what Terminator 2 robots are, Allison.
Yeah, I think this is a good example of incredible, like wow, out of the box, quite relevant, and also fun. These are called M-Blocks, Adam, and it's a huge breakthrough. I don't know if you're familiar. Do you remember with that Terminator 2 film where there was a female Terminator and she was sort of made out of what looked like a liquid steel, and if she lost an arm, it could come back to her and kind of recoalesce and reform into an arm again.
So we're going to have a Terminator 2 army?
Well, you know, it's been the goal of DoD to have a robot army for quite some time. That's kind of...
Well, we'd all like to have a robot army. I'm sure my bosses would like to have a robot army full of robot anchors. But, I mean, what's the reality on this?
Yep, let's drill down to brass tacks. So it is actually possible, and there's been a lot of naysayers, as you'd imagine, saying there's no way this is ever actually going to happen. This humble little block that we're looking at right now, that is called an M-Block, and that is genuinely paving the way for ultimately creating those types of Terminator sort of machines. So what we're looking at here, Adam, you can probably see there's no visible mechanism for moving. They're just sort of flying around, tumbling around, jumping on top of each other and connecting. So what's amazing is that they have no visible mechanism of movement, but they still attach to each other and they can work together as a group to form shapes. So we're looking at one right outside. So you can see that it's not even impeded by terrain. Now, granted, grass is not the highest degree of difficulty in terms of terrain. But this is just early days, and I was really pleased to see they made the announcement in Tokyo last week, and I was really pleased to see that they have indeed made this breakthrough.
So it's kind of like the big bang of a possible Terminator army one day.
Yeah, it's. I know it's kind of hard to imagine when we look at these little blocks that kind of look like a 3D Tetris game. But you know, it's these sorts of breakthroughs. The ability. What's unique about their program is it kind of used a low-tech approach as opposed to the popular high-tech variations. And they're low-tech. Inside each of these blocks, you can see some of them have little openings so you can see what's inside. It has sort of a spinning flywheel, and that's how they launch themselves into the air to attach to each other. So if one of the little blocks gets separated from his group, he can actually find his way back. So that's where you know, if you kind of take that down the line of future iterations, that's where you get sort of the Terminator arm torn off and it's able to find its way back to the body.
Ah, I see your point. Well, I mean, but this obviously is a technology of being able to put pieces back together, in a sense, correct?
Yes, it's called, a lot of people call them sort of self-assembling robots. They're modular robots as opposed to kind of the big Johnny Fives that people would be familiar with seeing.